In this video, I have for you 5 amazing sports manga that not only embody and perfect everything that we love about this genre, but also each one of them has its own unique touch that makes it so incredible. And there is no better way to start than telling you about Real. Real is a manga that explores the lives of 3 young men who are in very different life circumstances but are connected by one common passion: basketball. But this isn't your typical sports manga where the protagonists overcome their rivals and achieve glory on the court. This is a much more internal story. This is a manga that deals with the harsh realities of physical disability, psychological trauma, but most importantly, personal growth. This is a manga that challenges the conventional notions of what it means to be strong, to be happy, and to be a good person. Real is by Takehiko Inoue, one of the most influential and acclaimed mangaka of all time. He made the classic Slam Dunk, which literally changed culture in Japan. No mangaka writes stories like Inoue does, so when he wanted to make a seinen sports manga, he made Real, which is unlike any sports manga that I've ever read. It doesn't really focus on the thrill of competition, the drama of teamwork, or the excitement of victory. Instead, it delves into the personal, very human struggles of the 3 main characters. Nomiya, a high school dropout who got into a car accident that paralyzed his passenger and he blames himself for it. Togawa, an ex-sprinter who lost his right leg to cancer and became a wheelchair basketball player. And lastly, Takahashi, a former basketball star who became a paraplegic after he got hit by a truck. These 3 characters have very different backgrounds, personalities, and goals, but they're all united in their love for basketball and, more importantly, their desire to find meaning in their lives. Real is not a manga that sugarcoats or romanticizes the difficulties that the characters face. It portrays the physical pain and the emotional turmoil that comes with being disabled in a very realistic and gruesome way. It shows how each character copes with their situations in different ways. Inoue had crippling guilt which led him to self-sabotage himself and lose his path in life, while Takahashi isolated himself and dropped all contact with everyone that he knew. And Takahashi sinks deeply into depression and self-pity. But as the story progresses, it's shown how they grow and develop. Real shows us who these characters were before the incidents that they went through and how they're using their situations to grow from who they were. And it tackles it in a very beautiful and therapeutic way. It also explores how their relationships with their families, friends, and lovers are affected by their disabilities. Some are supportive and understanding, some are indifferent and hostile, some are conflicted and guilty. But don't get the wrong idea, Real is not a manga that wallows in misery or despair either. It shows us the extreme lows of the characters so we can see how each character grows and changes through their experiences and find light in their lives. We see how they overcome their own psychological barriers bit by bit. We watch them as they discover new aspects of themselves and new possibilities for their futures. It shows us how they learn to accept themselves and to appreciate what they have. And we're able to live with these characters because of how well they're written and how beautifully the manga is drawn by Inoue, who's known for his realistic and expressive art style. The characters are very distinctive and expressive, and the backgrounds are detailed and atmospheric. Real is a manga that moves us with its realism, touches us with its humanity, and awes us with its artistry. It's genuinely one of the best manga ever. Medalist tells the story of Tsukasa, a young man who gave up his dream of becoming a solo figure skater due to his late start and lack of talent. He works part-time at an ice rink where he meets Inori, a 5th grader who is desperate to skate but has been rejected by every other rink because of her age and lack of experience, and also her mom pushing them to reject her. Since Inori's older sister was much better athletically, but she failed. And not only is Inori much worse athletically, but also overall in school and socially too. So her mom doesn't want her to be hurt by also failing at ice skating, which she loves. Tsukasa sees himself in Inori, but he has no coaching experience. And he also didn't make it as a skater. But after being pushed by his ex-teammate and the empathy that he has for Inori, he steps into the role of her coach, committed to nurturing her potential and helping her reach her dream for both of them. Her mom reluctantly agreed, but her worries didn't really go away. And after only a few skating sessions, Inori had a competition within the same month. This was the opportunity for Inori and Tsukasa to prove her mom wrong. When the time for the competition finally came, Inori knocked it out the park with her performance, which left her mom in tears. From then on, all her worries faded away and she fully embraced Inori's passion. The main characters, Tsukasa and Inori, are especially well developed and likable. Tsukasa is an extremely passionate coach who goes above and beyond to make sure Inori is able to reach the top. He's haunted by his past failures and regrets, which gives him a strong sense of responsibility and loyalty. He's determined to make Inori succeed where he failed. Inori is an innocent, cheerful girl who loves skating with all her heart. She's a naive, unsocial, anxious mess, but she's also optimistic and she has a really strong will and courage. She faces many hardships and rejections, but she never gives up on her dream. And the relationship is so wholesome. A little tangent that I want to go on. When I was a kid, I was in a similar situation to that of Inori. I also wasn't really good at anything as a child except for one sport. I really wanted to play that sport competitively and compete at the highest levels, but I just couldn't for so many reasons that were all out of my control. When I read this manga, it brought back so many memories and feelings. I never felt as seen as when I was reading this manga. The mangaka captures the feelings that you have in that position and made Inori revel in those feelings. The feeling of being incapable of doing anything, the heartbreak, feeling like you're getting left behind. I read that manga and connected to Inori instantly. The manga displayed those harsh feelings in an insanely realistic and beautiful way. So when Inori got a single thread dangled for her, she latched onto it and never let go. And as a reader, you can't stop yourself from wanting to follow her journey till the very end. Medalist is a manga that combines the great character writing and the sports in a really realistic and captivating way. It shows the competitive and harsh aspects of figure skating. It doesn't shy away from showing the physical and mental toll that skating takes on the characters, such as injuries, exhaustion, stress, and self-doubt. It also shows the emotional and personal growth of the characters as they overcome their fears, doubts, and insecurities and discover their strengths. The manga also showcases the beauty and grace of skating, with stunning artwork that captures the movement and expression of the skaters. The manga uses dynamic paneling and angles to create a sense of speed and flow, as well as detailed backgrounds and effects to create a sense of atmosphere and emotion. The art of Medalist is just beautiful and dynamic. The art style is perfect for this manga. The character designs are so distinctive and appealing. They reflect the diversity and colorfulness of the cast, each with their own personality, motivation, and backstory. The designs alone can tell you a lot about characters without knowing much about them. Medalist is a manga that makes you feel a lot of emotions, from extreme sadness to admiration, and it genuinely excels at showing all the emotions. It handles all the emotional scenes with a ton of care and thought, and it's not just done for the main two. This care is given to the entirety of the cast. It's truly a beautiful manga. Teppu follows the story of Natsuo, a girl who's good at everything she does, basically a natural genius, but she's bored out of her mind because of it. She's arrogant, condescending, and ruthless towards her opponents, who she sees as nothing but a stepping stone for her amusement. One day she meets Yuzuko, a girl who's advertising for the mixed martial arts club. Yuzuko is a tiny giddy girl who actually challenges Natsuo to a spar, and for the first time in her life, she feels the thrill of facing someone who can actually match her. But she loses the spar, and that enrages her. How can a tiny girl like Yuzuko beat her? So she decided to train in MMA out of pure spite, only so she could humiliate Yuzuko. But what she didn't predict is how much she would fall in love with the sport of MMA and all its complexities. And what started as a means to get revenge and proving her superiority became a true passion of hers. As you've seen, Teppu's main character isn't the usual underdog protagonist who has to overcome obstacles and built-in debuffs. Instead, it subverts these tropes by making the protagonist a stock shonen rival who's already at the top of her game. But what makes it interesting is that she has to deal with her own issues and insecurities. Natsuo is not a likable or very relatable character on the surface, but what you discover while reading is how her whole icy persona is just a facade. She's not evil or malicious, but just a normal person that had to find ways to cope with her circumstances to avoid getting hurt. Natsuo isn't the only great thing about this story. Teppu also portrays MMA in a realistic and respectful way. It shows the different styles, techniques, and strategies of the sport, such as striking, grappling, submissions, takedowns. It does not avoid the violence or brutality of MMA, but it also shows the beauty of the sport and how it can really help a person with their inner demons and forces the person to confront those inner demons. It shows the passion, dedication, and camaraderie of the fighters, as well as the pain, frustration, and disappointment they experience. Teppu is a manga that's about the dark side of talent and genius, and how they can be both a blessing and a curse. But that's not all about this manga, it's just the angle that I decided to tackle it from. It's very diverse in the portrayals of the characters and their different struggles. It's a great read. If you love football, or even if you don't, you should definitely check out this manga that will make you feel the thrill, the drama, and the passion of the beautiful game. I was someone who didn't really care that much for football, but reading this manga, seeing the level of nuance that's put into play, I couldn't help but get roped in and care about this really intricate game. And it doesn't stop there. If you've ever been a competitive person, this story will speak to you on a personal level, and it will make you feel read like no other sports manga could. The story is about Ashito. He comes from a poverty-stricken single-parent household. His mother spends all her waking hours working, trying to provide for her two children, and because of their financial situation, Ashito had really worn out football gear, such as his boots, and he would often get made fun of because of his situation. Aside from that, he has a natural talent for football, but he lacks proper training and guidance. His life changes when he meets Tetsuya Fukuda, a coach of a prestigious youth team in Tokyo who sees his potential and invites him to take an entrance exam for his club. But when he gets there, he's shocked at how mediocre he is compared to the players that are already in the club. But through an intense show of heart, he was able to push himself and his team to score. With him showing his heart and willpower like that, as well as his natural talent for football, he's put it all on the line, and he just has to wait now to see if he was accepted or rejected by the club. My absolute favorite thing about Awawashi is the level of realism and personality put into the manga. After all, the mangaka wanted his story to be about the struggle that he faced on his journey of manga serialization. So his editor recommended that he makes it about football, a simple concept that anyone can easily get on board with. And you can truly feel the heart and real emotional experiences that are in this manga. And there is no better example of that than when Ashito got accepted into the football club. For 3 agonizing weeks, Ashito had to wait for the results of the exam. He'll either get accepted and leave everyone that he knows, including his family, and travel across the country to chase his dreams, or he'll get rejected and has to let go of his dream of playing professional football and providing for his mom. While in that state for the entirety of the 3 weeks, his mom has been kinda off. She didn't really ask him anything about the exam, and overall has just been a little odd. He was hanging out with his friends when his mom came to him and gave him the letter sent from the club and told him that he's been accepted. Everyone was celebrating, but this was his mom's reaction. Later in the day, on her way back from work, completely exhausted, she felt so guilty for what she said and had decided to apologize to Ashito. But when she got to the door, she overhears him saying that the reason he wants to play football professionally is that so he can provide for his mom and give her an easier life. But with the fees of the club, maybe it would be too much for her, so he might have to think of a different way to go pro. After hearing that, she puts on the usual character of the unbreakable mom and pretends that she didn't hear anything. She then gets on the phone with someone from the club and acquires all the information about the financial fees of the club, and she didn't really talk to Ashito after that. 6 months go by and it was finally time for Ashito to travel, but he feels like his mom has been avoiding him and he didn't get a chance to have a serious talk with her since she's been working all the time, as well as derailing any serious conversations that they would have, and their last talk being the prime example of that. When Ashito was leaving, he got surprised by everyone from his class being there to give him their final personal goodbyes. With everyone there, Ashito vowed that he wasn't gonna cry, because if he did, it would just ruin the mood. He mimicked his mom, pushed through his emotions and put on a face and said goodbye to everyone. Right before he was about to get on the train, his brother stopped him and gave him a bag, told him it was from his mom. In that bag, there was a letter and a box. With feelings of immense guilt rushing over him because he put his mom through the tough position of having to pay for an elite football school, he genuinely didn't know what she put in the letter. So with extreme unease, he started reading the letter.
First things first, I'm sorry I didn't come to see you off. Also, I know that you've been trying to talk to me about something for the last 6 months. I'm sorry for brushing you off. Thing is, Being sad or gloomy just doesn't suit me. And frankly, I'm a little selfish. I'm sorry, again. To tell you the truth, I didn't want to have that conversation because I already knew what you were going to tell me. Because that night, I heard what you said when you were on the phone. That was enough for me. Thank you, Ashito. But seriously, I can't have you saying that kind of thing to my face. You get it, right? I'm sorry I couldn't afford to buy you new cleats before. So, as a farewell gift... The only thing I'm worried about is how short-tempered you can be. But I know that it's proof that you've grown into an earnest and sincere person. If you're concerned about our finances, don't be. I'm your mother. It's my job to support you in whatever you want to do. Don't forget, there are others around you too. People who are rooting for you, and who lift you up when you need help. You have lots of people who are in your corner, and I'm sure you'll meet even more in Tokyo. Be grateful for their support, and don't get a big head. One more thing. I don't know too much about soccer, so whether you're good at it or not, or if you'll go pro or not, none of that really matters to me. Honestly, it wouldn't change the way I feel. Because whether you succeed or not, I will always be so proud of you, Ashito. I've been proud of you ever since you were born. Please, don't ever forget that. Make sure you're eating well. And don't get hurt, okay? I know playing soccer makes you happy, so pour your heart and soul into it. Do your best.
The manga depicts the sport and the characters in a really realistic and captivating way, with detailed, accurate illustrations, thrilling, unpredictable matches, and well-developed, relatable characters. The manga also explores a ton of themes such as teamwork, friendship, rivalry, ambition, growth, and maturity. It handles all these with as much care as you've seen. It has everything you need in a sports manga, so in my opinion, it's a must-read. Martial Master Asumi is a manga written and illustrated by Kawada, the creator of Hinomaru Sumo, which was a popular sports manga that ran for 250 chapters and got an anime adaptation in 2018. So you already know this guy can make a great manga, and he's back at it again with another manga series that focuses on MMA. The story follows Naito, a quiet and gentle teenager who hates violence. He lives with his family and grandfather, who's a former martial arts master. He also has memory problems following an accident that he's been in. He forgot almost everything in his life except for martial arts. Even though Naito hates violence, he still trains with his granddad, as it's pretty much the only way he can stay connected to him. But he keeps the skills that he's learned from his granddad a secret because he hates fighting and believes it to only bring trouble. However, his C-average life, as he describes it, is turned upside down when he meets Asumi, a girl who dreams of becoming a pro MMA fighter. Asumi is fascinated by Naito's hidden potential after seeing him completely destroy his bullies in an alley. After seeing that, she challenges him to spar with her. Naito reluctantly agrees, hoping to get rid of her, but he soon finds himself drawn into the world of MMA. He absolutely falls in love with the sport. The fights in this manga are well drawn and exciting, showing various styles and techniques of martial arts. This manga is a great example of the basic shonen formula done right. The storytelling in this manga is just insanely captivating. It makes you addicted to the story, and you can feel that right away. It's not a slow burner at all. It starts off great, like you can tell this is made by someone who knows what they're doing. It only has 32 chapters, so you can really easily get into it. If you want to read another addicting manga that grabs you and never lets go, you can watch this video and see why Chainsaw Man will do that to you.